Hi, everybody. How is everybody tonight? It's me. It's Sarah G, the Witch MD, and the Witch is in tonight. I have a wonderful guest. Her name is Marcia, and she is from the Crescent Moon Tarot. I'm going to bring her on. Hi, Marcia.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you? So, the way
Good.
that I
Thank you
start
for
the
having
show,
me.
yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course. We used to do podcasts together or were they really like Facebook Lives way back then, a while back. So we're kind of very familiar with this banter back and forth. And
Yes.
usually how I start these podcasts is because it's Tarot Tuesday, we're going to pull a card. And so we're going to talk
That
about
sounds
my
good to me.
interpretation, your interpretation, what it means in the whole, grand scheme of things. I've already shuffled off camera. This is the
Okay.
Dancing in the Dark Tarot. I chose this
Well,
specifically for you because I feel like
oh,
this embodies your vibe. All right.
I love
So
it.
I know this isn't
Oh,
like,
beautiful.
so I, Eight of Wands. I know this isn't necessarily one of the most, pictorial images of this deck, but this deck, Dancing in the Dark Tarot, reminds me so much of you in general. But today's card, my friends out there, is the eight. Wait, I'm going to pull one just so that you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, okay, there's a good one. So here's the Hierophant. That's a very
Oh, beautiful.
Marcia-esque. Yeah. Yep.
It is.
But
It
anyway, yep. So
is.
eight of wands, there isn't a lot of figurative stuff. It's very literal in meanings to me. What about you? What do you feel about it?
So, Eight of Wands right off the rip. It's really fast paced changes. Things are just going to be happening. You're not going to be having enough time really to sit and think on things. They're just going to happen, and you need to be able to roll with it. You have to be able to roll with everything that's coming at you and trust that your intuition is leading you the right way. As soon as you start to resist, that's when you move off path and all bets are off.
Yep, I agree. In this card, as you can see down here where my fingers are, there's water. And some of these cards, you do not see water in the eight of wands. But what I feel about this water is exactly what you just said. We have to stay the course. We have to understand that these things are going to be thrown at us in all different directions. We have to be able to bend and move and be able to catch when we need to. But as soon as we start to wiggle the wrong way, we're cut down that stream and we're gone. So,
Yep.
eight of wands, everything's happening so fast. Eights are also, to me, double foundation because we need four walls for a foundation. So, if we're going to
Yep.
build on top of that, so you kind of have a good grip of what's going on, it's time to kind of start going with the flow in really fast paced movements.
Yes. Yes. And don't second guess.
Yep. Don't second guess. You won't have time. It's like you're in
No.
a, it's like you're on a court of some kind or a ball field. And once that ball gets thrown in your direction, it's kind of like your instincts, like you said, have to take over and you have to catch it and you have to run with it or you have to bat it or you have to do whatever. My son just started football this past, like he actually had a
I love
football game. I know. And he's only a little guy. So, and I think that concept works really well for what we're dealing with. Like you got to catch it and go, literally.
it. Yes.
So with school starting for a lot of kids, your kids are older now, but mine are in
Yes.
this
So
kind of
I have one still in school. I have
one
one.
still school. Yep.
She's senior this year.
Oh, oh my God, I thought she was out. Oh,
Not
but
yet.
this is old hat to her.
Oh yeah.
She's so
She's
great.
good. She's good.
Right, but a lot of the people listening and the people viewing, right, having those kids get back into that routine is also part of this eight of wands
Yeah.
energy where everything happens so fast, but once you get into some sort of routine and you trust the process, then things are really gonna flow in the right direction. If once you
Exactly.
buck that trend and you don't want to wake up, well, that's when things start to get a little
It all
iffy.
falls apart. Yeah. Yep.
So, Marsha, what has been going on? Tell me something about you, something that's new, something that's different. I mean,
Something
you
that's
know,
new. I don't know.
so
I don't know what's new.
so Marsha is one of the most talented readers in the New England
Oh,
area that I know. She is a kindred spirit. We connected about 4 years ago, and We've had a lot of laughs, we've had some tears, we've had
Yes.
some good stuff. She's always been a great backbone for a lot of the things that have been happening in everybody's life, right? When you find your tribe, you find your tribe. And
Yeah.
Marsha is definitely one of those people that's one of my ride or dies out here. So I'm
Me
so
too.
pleased to have you here.
Thank
But Marsha does everything. So give me
you.
can you give us a little synopsis? I mean, it might not be
I
the
it
time frame. We
won't
might have to
be.
go over.
I won't do an all inclusive. Um, but so I do tarot readings, I do mediumship, I do tea leaf readings, I do table tipping, um, I do, oh goodness, what do I do? I teach classes. I have spirit board sessions, I have some set up behind me. Um, and I do mentorships,
Mhm.
I do so much that without reading it, I don't actually know what I do.
Right? So your menu is extremely expansive. If you
Yes.
are so inclined, viewers out there, go ahead and click the link for her website because let me just tell you, it is amazing. I did see that the sessions that you offer in the sense of time frames, the mentorship sessions and things of that nature, unprecedented. I think that what you're doing in that genre of bringing it all together and encompassing it for one-on-one or in a class mentality is really it's beneficial and important. um,
Thank you.
but you're welcome. But I want to kind of go back to the spirit board because we were
Okay.
talking off camera. We had a great little kind of moment where we were both like, oh yeah, that's it, that's the
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
tell tell me what you do in this time frame of the wheel of the year. Like at this moment, what are you saying to people?
Okay. So pretty much the way that I break it down, because I'm very no nonsense. I have no filter, right? So I'm not going to sugarcoat things. But here's like the long and short of it is that if you are not working with spirit throughout the entire year, you shouldn't be working with spirit at all. And so what that means in a nutshell is do not dabble. What ends up happening every time somebody starts dabbling and they think that they're going to do something and they're not quite sure how to do it, but they just kind of push through and do it anyway. And they create a very large mess that does need to end up being cleaned up.
Mm.
And so what happens is people like yourself and myself, we are at our wits' end trying to clean up the mess.
Right.
So really what it comes down to is don't dabble, don't do it. If this is something that interests you, it should interest you year round, and you should take
Hmm.
proper course in learning about it and
Right.
learning the etiquette behind it and learning the reasons why things are done in certain ways. There's so much practice that goes into what we do that it gets messy and it gets
Yeah. Yep.
dangerous.
Yep. So I think in the idea of if it's dealing with spirit, especially for this concept, right? So we get messages from our ancestors all year at any
Yeah,
time at any point. It doesn't necessarily happen when the veil is thinnest. It happens
right.
all the time, especially with a trusted professional who knows how to turn it on and turn it off and leave it at the office or you know
Yes.
use the cleansing methods and the things that we do in order to ground and center ourselves after the fact. Now, if you are out there and you are trying different things, you're right, Marcia. Learn about it first. Kind of ask some questions before you're invoking anything to come through, because if you don't have a professional or you don't have yourself centered in a certain way, then there could be some adverse reactions or effects based on that.
Yes. Yes. So oddly, this kind of ties into what you were just saying, but one of the other things that I do is I do property
Hmm.
cleansing. And I don't offer that on my website. That is, direct email me. Um, but I do a spirit walkthrough. So I kind of assess what's going on with the spirit on the property. And I have a client that I work with. I'm pretty much on call for their property. And, they reach out to me. Sometimes it's in the middle of the night because they're having such activity. And this is because there's a whole lot of dabbling going on. And so I
Whole lot of
have to
dabbling
go.
going on.
A whole lot, a whole lot. And so I go and it's exhausting. I'm there for hours. And then like my next day I'm pretty much useless.
Right,
So
right. Yep. I
it's a lot.
also offer that service. And I do pretty much, I'm sure it's, in the same vein as what you do. Walk in, do like a litmus test of what's going on, as well
Yeah,
as kind of ask the energy or the spirit within the property, what their boundaries are, or what the copacetic relationship should look like between the living and
yes.
the dead. And I think that the disclaimer that you had talked about earlier, as of this time, because of Halloween, and because of all of, and Samhain, if you will, because of all of this coming out, especially now, which people like you and me are like gobbling it up because all of our
Yep.
decor is out. Um,
Yep. Yep.
but that
Pretty
doesn't
much my whole office.
exactly same, same, and my home, much to my husband's chagrin.
Right?
Um, and he goes, babe, it's not Halloween anymore. I'm like, that's not Halloween. That is normal decor. Um,
It is. It's household decor is what that is.
yes, exactly. But I think that having this mentality that we are going to ask, we have to be respectful is part of
Yes.
that process. And if you don't know the proper means to be respectful to the other side, to the other plane, then that's something that we as the professionals may have to take care of on the back end of it.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, it is energetically draining because we are humans and our
Yeah.
energy does not match that of somebody who has crossed on the other side. So I get it.
Yes.
you're mush after events. Well, you're mush anyway, but
I am.
you're
Touche.
but after a big situation or a big event or a big session, if you will. Yeah, that's kind of another thing that I wanted to talk about too. We are energetically drained. Sometimes I will get
Yeah.
a headache. Sometimes I will want to sleep all day. Sometimes I will be hungry all day. It's very
Oh,
dependent on what's happened, right?
that
Sometimes the
one's new.
insatiable,
I
yeah,
haven't heard that one.
yeah. Sometimes
That
I'll be
doesn't.
like, I can't stop eating.
I wish that that could be my problem because then I would have an excuse for all of this. But that is not
Well,
that is that is not one that affects me.
either that, I can't stop eating, or I'll have an insatiable thirst. And that's just my body replenishing what I've lost
Yes,
by
because
spending my energy. Yeah.
exactly. I get very very thirsty. Like no matter how
Hmm.
much I drink, it's just not quenching my thirst at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's huge for me. And then I just want to knock out. I just want to sleep.
Hmm.
The headaches are hit or miss,
Hmm.
but I will typically, within a couple of days, if I'm going to have a headache, it will very likely turn into a migraine.
Right.
Just,
Yep. Yep.
it's rare
Um,
if it doesn't.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. That has happened to me where I've had a crazy migraine for the next 3 days. And that way,
Yeah.
there, I know that I need to replenish what I have spent with my energy. So I'll take good care of myself. But, you know, there are different ways that we all do this.
Yeah.
Whether it is that we cleanse our tools as well, whether it is that we take care of our bodies. Um, you know, Usually what happens too is that I feel like my throat chakra is on fire because I've been talking and speaking truths for so long that I'll be like, and I know that you get the same way. You get hoarse
Yep.
after we've been talking for a while. Um,
It's true.
but yeah, are there any other tips or tricks that you do for your own self or within your own practice to kind of dissipate that energetic spending or
Honestly, I use more quartz crystal than I think a person really needs. Um, clear quartz is one of the most underrated crystals that there is. It's just so beneficial, and because it can actually be programmed to take the place of any crystal,
yes.
um,
I
that
think I
makes
have
it
one
so
right
much
here.
more versatile. So
Wait, wait, now we're
I
gonna
got
do a show and
you.
tell. Oh, I've got an angel aura right here. I'm a sucker for an angel
Oh,
aura.
you
I
know what? I have your twin. It's in my. Oh no, it's at home.
Oh, that's
It's at
okay.
it's at home because I brought it with me when I went to go to the property cleanse.
Whew. So it did some work.
So it works. But so I have
That's a pretty one.
some little ones. But yeah, quartz is my go-to. I wear my little one all the time.
Hmm.
It's just one of the things that it helps to ground. It
Hmm.
helps to clear, and it's like almost like a filter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yep.
so it kind of keeps out a lot of the dingy, dirty energy, and it
Hmm.
lets through all of the pure energy, and it helps with just rejuvenation.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
Yep.
it's not called a master healer for nothing.
Right.
It's
Um,
it.
it's also an amplifier. So if you pair it with any other crystals for whatever purpose that you're doing, whether it's the cleansing, whether it's the centering and the grounding, whether
Yeah,
it is amplification of self-love within that rose quartz, you can pair it with anything and it's really gonna it is a
yeah,
utility player, if you will, of the crystals. I love
100%.
it. Yep. And
Yeah,
I am a sucker for a good angel aura. So angel aura is usually just a quartz crystal that has, if you can see that iridescence there, for those of you who are asking, it is literally a metal of some kind. I think it's titanium,
I think
perhaps.
so
I'm not
too.
sure. Yep, that is melted, and then the gases from the titanium adhere to the quartz, and it reminds me of aurora borealis. So
Yes.
I use these all the time. I have them in my bra. I have them in my practice, oh, always. Um, but you know that quartz, clear quartz, is your because there's room for that. But clear quartz is your amplifier. It is your utility player. It will take the place of any. That is a great, method that I think that it is underrated, and I love that you
It
had
is.
said that you said that here. Anything else? I take a shower. I'm a water sign. Like my sun and moon are in
Well,
water, so I take a
yep.
shower. I'm not a
Yeah.
bath person. I don't want to sit in it. I want it to literally clean me and be
Yeah.
done.
I'm with you there. I I do like the cleanse of the shower, like the meditation of it,
Yes.
right? So that
Yep.
visual that you can have of like washing away all of the impurities, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm also more of an ocean person.
Yeah.
So
Oh, all day.
if I can like leave an area and go straight to the ocean, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm fully dressed. I will be in the ocean. I will be in that
Yes.
water. And
That
then
sounds
I will
like you.
complain that I am wet.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I mean,
You
think about
know?
the ocean too. It's always moving, it's always cleaning, it's always,
Yes,
the sand is always kind of gritting and you're doing that motion of cleansing
exactly.
if in that in nature. But I do want to say that my best thoughts or my best, this is what I should have said or this is what I'm going to do. All of
Yeah.
that like planning happens in the shower. The one place I
Oh
can't
yeah.
write things down. So, I'll be
Same.
washing my hair and the next thing I'll be
Mhm.
like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yep, absolutely. And then I get out and I go, what was that? What was that thing I was thinking?
Yeah, I have absolutely the worst memory in existence, which is why I am a great secret keeper, because once you tell me, I forget. Um, Hands down, I don't remember. But I have incredible ideas when I'm in the shower. And then I pull them out. Nope. I have no idea what it was.
Right? It's like,
The
oh,
closet
what was
vault is
that?
gone. It's gone.
It's
It
gone.
is safe for
It is gone.
eternity.
Yep.
It's gone.
It's checked out.
It
One of the
has,
other
yes.
things,
Well, or I checked out, either
yeah,
way.
well, I mean, one of the other things I love to do, and I do it all the time, even in the winter, which is kind of funny, but I take my shoes off and I have to touch my bare feet. I know that I've done that in your office, and so have you.
Yes,
I do it in mine all the time. Like I have to be able to ground myself. So
yes.
that's what I do. I make sure that there's me touching whatever floor. I don't go outside when it's snowy. I'm not that cuckoo, but it's
Oh, I
important to
am.
be able, I know, to make sure that you're grounding yourself in this way. So when something of that nature in the way of what we're talking about, a big event, a big transaction, or a big session, or even a cleansing of some kind, we are taking on other people's energy, whether they are human
Yeah.
or whether it is from the other plane. So we have to effectively let that go because it doesn't belong to us.
No.
And that's
And
why
that's
our bodies are adverse to that. And our bodies are saying, like, you're going to have a headache now and you're going to be
yep.
thirsty now, because we're trying to drain it or cleanse it out of our system in a certain
Yes.
way.
So one of the best ways is with a tree
It's a
meditation.
tree.
I don't have any windows in my office. So I'd have I have my little tree. And then you cannot see it, but the tapestry that I am currently facing is a giant tree. Um, and so this is like my go-to, like even just between sessions at my office, I do a grounding meditation that's a tree meditation.
Right.
So, and I did a video. I think it's on my website.
Yep.
Um, I think, but really, really simple. You can do it so much faster than the video that I put together. It's slow for a reason, just because it's, a video. But you can do it in like less than a minute.
Yeah. Yep.
Less than a
And that,
minute to do a really quick, anytime you need it, grounding meditation.
yep.
And it's just visualization. That's all it is. It's
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah, I think so too. And to be able to recognize when you need that, because a lot of
Mhm.
people are, under the impression of, oh, I have to keep going, because that is what society is telling us that we have to do. When it is that you
Yes.
take this time for yourself and you ground yourself and you use a small meditation or like a short one, even if it is just saying a couple of things that make sense to you, some affirmations, a mantra, lyrics of a song, whatever it looks like to you, take that moment for yourself. Um, I feel like that happens a lot when we're not even practicing or we're not, working per se. Like there'll be times that I'll be like, okay, dealing with that person in line was a little crazy, so I'm going to literally gonna sing a song to myself so that I get out
Yeah,
of the mindset of whatever. So it
that's
doesn't have,
exactly what I do with this.
yeah,
Same thing.
yep. So it doesn't have to look kooky. It doesn't have to look crazy. It can just be something that brings you right back down to earth because not only, do we do that every day with the people around us and the public in general, that's not your energy. Let it go. And there's ways to do
So
that.
it's funny that you say that, because I say this to my clients all the time, that there's like, what we don't realize is that the phone that we're attached to, right?
Hmm.
That's energy. We're dealing with other people's energy through that phone.
Hmm.
On our computers, we're dealing with other people's energy. On, your tablet or your video game, if you're doing live video games with other people, like that energy is all coming through. It's not just when you're in the face to face with
Mhm.
the rest of the world. You could hide away in your own house and not leave and still need to do this.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
And that gets missed because they think, oh, I'm not with anybody else, so it's not affecting me. But that's not true.
Right, of course. Yep,
So
because it is
and
that.
it's one of those things that the more you do, the better you feel. There's no such thing as too much.
Okay.
So I tell absolutely everybody that whatever it is that you think you need to do to ground yourself, you need to do it at least 3 times more per day.
Right. Yep.
Per day. So if you think you only need to ground yourself once, maybe twice a week, then you're looking at 3 times more than that per day.
Right. Right. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to sit
Nope.
there and go, and like totally center and ground yourself for an
Mhm.
hour and a half. It's just
Nope.
little idiosyncrasies, little things that you do, little movements, little song lyrics, little like get you back down to earth. Maybe it is that you take a
Yep.
sip of water and you count to three before, it doesn't matter what it looks
Exactly.
like, but it matters how it makes you feel after the fact. And
Yes.
I think that kind of tying it back to what we were talking about when it comes to the energies that are happening now, because it's very prevalent with, the season happening, the season
Yes.
of the witch, it's happening. I think that it's more of a reminder to us that we really need to be able to do this for ourselves, because energetically, it's not going to stop.
Right.
The holidays are approaching, Yule is approaching, Christmas is approaching. All of that in your face all the time,
Yep.
24/7 is happening, and it's happening
A lot.
starting now. So this is a good point in time that you should really take those moments for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like that's something that we would all do so much better
Mhm.
if we all took that little bit of time for ourselves.
Mhm.
It's not selfish to do that. It's not um it's not a waste of time. It's necessary.
Mhm.
So
And
necessary.
exactly. So necessary. That being said, the card of our day, which was the 8 of Wands, sometimes you have to be in the moment, but at the same time, that's also can be very grounding too, because if you're in the rigmarole, right, you have a routine, sometimes that routine allots for a little bit of time for yourself. When kids go back to school, now they have been practicing breathing. All right, everybody take a breath, put your pencils down, take a deep breath, let it out. I mean, they didn't do that when we were in school, but
No.
it can be factored into your routine if you so desire. It doesn't have
Right.
to be like, oh God, I feel a headache coming on. I better,
Right.
take a
No,
breath.
it's so funny because when you mentioned taking in that breath, that's one of the things that I had to teach my daughter. So I homeschool my kids, as you mentioned. So with my oldest, it was he was pretty easy. He just did what he needed to do, and he was good. With my daughter, she had such anxiety,
Mhm.
and her anxiety would manifest as um, panic attack that would mimic asthma. She doesn't have asthma,
Right,
but it would
right.
mimic
Hmm.
like she couldn't
Yep,
breathe.
yep.
So we would do breathing exercises, and I got her a meditation ball, which,
Oh, show and tell. I love show and tell.
well, okay, so it's kind of like,
Oh yeah. Yep, like an
okay,
I Ching. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, okay. So the meditation ball that she has is on a necklace. It's smaller than this. It's just a simple little chime. You've seen it. I have one. Um,
Hmm.
I know you've seen it because
Yeah.
I wear it a lot.
I've heard
Um,
you. Hmm.
yes, because I jingle a lot. But so I got her a necklace that's just like mine. And so she moves it with each breath to keep a rhythm.
Hmm. Hmm.
It does wonders. So when
Hmm.
she's about to have a panic attack, it's always math. Math is like her
Oh,
nemesis.
same
So,
girl, same. Tell her.
right? So every single time that she starts to get overwhelmed, she takes her necklace and she starts and she
Hmm.
breathes. and she'll go to
Yep.
five nice
Yep.
deep breaths, and then kind of like take a second.
Yep.
She feels
Yep.
like she needs more, she'll start it again, go back to
Mm-hmm.
5
Yep.
until she's good, and then she can work through it. That's the
Yeah.
only thing that worked is the breathing, but she needed something to help
It's
regulate the
it's
breathing.
it's sort of like when you play an instrument, and what do they call that? That goes tick 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 tick
The
tick tick.
metronome.
Yes. So that in
Okay.
itself, yeah, well, you would
Yeah.
know. But that in itself is very, methodical, yet it's kind of invokes this form of meditation
It's
because
mimicking
yeah, you literally feel that 1, 2, 1,
that
2, or
pulse.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a pulse. That's right. So, and that's really what meditation is, really like slowing everything down enough, including your breath, because that's what's pumping your oxygen in your blood to the point of that you can control it and you feel a lot better. Because when we get anxious and we get riled up, or that, we've been spending a lot of energy, and so we're like, where are we going?
Yeah.
You need that kind of process to get you back down, which is exactly what center and grounding is. So if you think about it, it's not woo woo, because we do it in all different facets and all different ways of and paths of our lives, that it makes sense to be able to do this. But I love the fact that you do this not only for anxiety, but you also do this for that meditation purpose, because you are grounding and centering yourself.
Yep.
There are other ways that I feel like we do meditation, and if it is for clarity as well, because if you are invoking spirit, or you are getting ready to speak to the other side, or to deliver messages with whatever tool you decide to use, having that open mentality, or that kind of that you open that third eye, or however you look at it, that can also be achieved through meditation. Um,
Yes.
do you do that in your practices?
Um, Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It
Yep.
depends on kind of how the moment works. You know what I mean? Like
I sure do.
sometimes they don't want to give you a minute, and sometimes they do. So
Yep.
it depends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It totally depends.
You
Because
get those
sometimes they're,
impatient, yeah,
hello,
very,
like,
very
wait a
impatient.
second. Yes.
Not
I,
yet.
s-
Not,
yeah.
give me
Now,
a
yeah.
minute.
Give me a sec. Give me a sec.
Yeah.
I feel that it happens a lot because they are so excited that the light is on. That's the way that we're
Yeah.
the beacons. So the light is on. They're like, they're home. We're going. And
Yes.
sometimes they do give you that space of grounding and centering yourself through meditation. I tend not to do it as much as I should. But there are other ways that I kind of get ready for, whatever I'm dealing with, in the sense of readings, or dealing with the loved ones who have passed, or even just connecting in general.
Yeah.
Um, but we all have different ways that we do this. So if you think about it, it's not too crazy that what we're talking about kind of translates into mainstream, because this isn't science. Like, this isn't like rocket science, or this isn't like completely woo woo. It's part of our lives every single day.
Right. But the thing is, though, like, the people that question, the scientific value, I guess, like, one thing that can't be disputed is energy.
That is true. That is true.
So you can't argue it. It's got to go somewhere.
Exactly.
The
Uh,
only, the,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
I do. And I think it's really funny sometimes when people will try to argue, especially about what we do, because
uh-huh.
there is no scientific proof of what I'm telling you or what I'm talking about. But your
No, but there is
grandmother,
evidentiary proof.
right, exactly. I was going to say, your grandmother is showing me a meal that she was proud to make. Like, I didn't pull that out of my butt. That is something
Right.
that is supposed to validate what that entity is trying, or that spirit is trying, your loved one is trying to convey to you and connect to you, based on that she's trying to feed me. And I always use this example because I feel like it's really important, and it happened to me in the beginning of my journey, where this grandmother kept saying, tell her lasagna, say lasagna, and I'm like, lasagna. And yet the my client looked at me and was like, lasagna is what she made all the time. And I was like, well, that's what she's telling me. So I guess we're right.
Right? I had something similar, but rather than a word, I kept getting gasoline. You know
Okay.
that those gas fumes? I was like, "Oh my god, like I can't breathe right now. It's so strong." But it's
Yeah.
not that it's meant to be overwhelming. It's just that it is coming off of him. It's so strong. And she's like, "He was a mechanic," and I was like, "Okay,
Well, that makes sense.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I can smell him." She's like, "Yeah, I loved that smell." And I
Oh, well,
was
then
like,
that is why, right? So I posted something on my page, on my Facebook page about that because, and this is kind of a good segue into this topic. People like Teresa Caputo and Matt Frazier and John Edwards, what they would do in a grandiose scale, and
yeah,
Roland Comtois does this too. But they connect with validating facts.
right.
So because I said the word lasagna to somebody, or because I said the word, or you said gasoline because you
Yeah.
smelled it, or, they'll show us little things. I had one client, for one of my friends, actually, her grandma popped through and showed me this little plate with like little tea roses on it. And she was showing it to me. I'm like, I don't know. Okay. So I told her and she was like, yeah, that's what she left me was her dishes with the little tea roses on. So we don't know that. We don't
Yeah.
research that. We don't look for that. It's little pieces that validate that loved one to you,
And the
and that
thing is,
message.
it makes zero sense to us. So we're like, we're gonna say this. This we're really we're gonna go with this. Okay.
Yep,
And
exactly,
then
exactly.
there you go.
Right,
That's just what you get. Um, because one of the things is that it will never make sense to us. It needs to make sense to you.
exactly. And that's exactly what we say because again, they just keep going. Say this, or this is what it smells like, or this is what it looks like, and they're not angry.
Yep.
I mean, I'm over
No, no,
exaggerating,
no. But
but they're
sometimes they can be a little pushy.
yeah, they're
So
persistent is kind of what
yeah.
I would like to say. And
And
they keep
persnickety as well.
they yeah. No, you
Sometimes.
can't say it like this, say it like this,
No, it has to be like this. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, we're kind of questioning when it comes out of us sometimes, even though we know the right answer. And because not only that, it is kind of a test of the reaction of the client. Like you never know if they're gonna cry, if they're gonna
Yes.
be excited, if they're gonna be like, what is this? So we kind of
That's
like deliver the message as
one
best
of
that we can.
it's one of those things too that like I'm always afraid of that reaction because like I don't know like if they're gonna cry, does that mean are you gonna make me cry? Because I don't want to cry.
And nine
You know what
times
I
out of
mean?
10,
Like
you cry.
I'm like I can I can I just I'll just stay over here.
Yeah.
If,
Yep.
and I'll let you have your reaction over there. And
Right.
when you're done, then we'll. I
Yeah.
don't want to cry. I don't want to
Nope.
cry. And almost always,
I agree.
they
I
get
agree.
you. They
I
sneak up on
uh-huh. They
you.
get you. They just know. And I think the reason of why we are so susceptible to feeling that emotion, of, sorrow, grief, happiness, however you want to look at it, whatever invokes that idea of a tear, or that overwhelming sensation that you feel to make your eyes well up, depending on what it is that we're already into their energy.
Yep.
We're already connecting to that
So
client as
we're
well
getting
as to their.
their feeling
Yeah.
and our feeling and spirits feel like we get. It's kind of like we get sandwiched.
Yeah, we get a trifecta of feelings that we're like, okay, and we're human, and as females, or having that feminine energy, that is, we invoke emotion anyway. That's what cups are. That's why it's all about emotion, right? In a tarot deck, cups. So we're already feeling for you, and we know that what we're going
Yes.
to say is probably going to be something that's going to invoke that emotion. So 9 times out of 10, I end up crying with them. I carry
I
tissues with me wherever I go because of it.
I did, and then I ran out, and I just keep forgetting to get more because again, I forget.
Whew.
Uh, there's not a list. I didn't write it down. I forgot. Um, but no, absolutely. And I'm not an emotional person. So I have the Sagittarius sun, the Scorpio moon, and the Capricorn rising. I am the ice queen. That's what my husband calls me. I am the ice queen. I
Yep.
am not emotional. that Scorpio really just gives me attitude. That's all that is.
Oh, I was gonna say that Scorpio moon is that's all the emotion you need right now. It's like I will turn it
That
on and
is,
shut it off as I need to.
no, for real. For
I
real. Like
know.
that is all my attitude. You don't want to see me mad because I have a stinger. So I try and like keep that under lock and key, especially when I'm doing readings because I don't want to get myself wrapped up in what they're doing. So I try to like pull back a little, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I will almost always like put up that wall. And it works sometimes. It doesn't work all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean I try, but it doesn't happen because my big three, Scorpio, Sun, Pisces, Moon, and Leo rising, I'm crying right
Yeah.
there with you.
No, you are.
You know, I'm like the
Well, because
cowardly
that Leo
lion over
rising is
here.
like your best friend.
I know. I
You're
know.
like, I'm in it with you. I'm in it with you. You can't
Exactly.
not. You can't not. See, I have the Capricorn rising, and that's just like, hey, we have a job to do.
Yep, we have some things we need to accomplish.
Let's get this
Let's
ball
move
rolling.
along. Okay, great. We said lasagna and we're moving on. Thank you, Noni.
And we're
We're
moving
saying lasagna. Right. Right. So this makes sense of, just the validating factors that we have when it comes to what we do. Because you do so much, Marcia, tell me what's your favorite thing at the moment that you're working with? Because I know it for every practitioner, it changes. Some people
on. Yeah.
like cards, some people like table tipping, some people like pendulums, some people like spirit board, and it ebbs and flows. So what are you
It does.
drawn to right now?
So, like one of the things that I get like the most excited for, um, is, but I mean, obviously tarot, but I do tarot on the daily. So, um, probably like my second most exciting. um, I love doing past life regression.
Oh gosh,
So
that's
I
so
do past
cool.
life readings, which is not a hypnosis, and then I do past life regression, which is the hypnosis.
Hmm.
So if you're afraid to do hypnosis or you don't think that you can be hypnotized, you're going to have a reading, and it doesn't tie in the same way when you're doing that past life regression. You get multiple lives
Hmm.
that you're able to
Hmm.
travel back to.
Yeah.
When you're doing a reading, it's just one life because it's my entire table. It takes up my whole table, one life.
Right.
So that's pretty much all we're touching on. But with a past life regression, generally you can get anywhere from like 3 to 5 in that time frame.
Okay.
Uh, and it's the most fun for me.
Oh my
Like,
God. I want to book
I,
it. I'm so excited for that.
I,
I sometimes
have so
having
much
that
fun.
past life basis or like that synopsis of what you were and it makes sense into this life and then you're like, holy shit, I
Yes.
can't believe that translates to now doing what I'm
Uh-huh.
doing, right?
In multiple lives. So one
Yeah.
affects the other, affects the other, affects the other, and affects now. So what happens when you're doing a past life regression is that you're going to visit the lives that most, um, how do I word it? That affect your current life
Yeah.
now. The ones
That
that are
are
going to be the
reflective
most
of that.
similar.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm
Yep.
glad that you had that word because it was just not there for me.
That's why we are a good duo. Um, but that is a facet and that is a modality that a lot of people would garner some sort of understanding or better understanding of themselves. Why am I connected to, let's say, that last night, actually, it's really funny because last night my daughter and I watched a documentary about finding a tomb in Egypt. I think it was like The Secrets of the Sakar. Oh my God, highly recommend. But I'm thinking like all of these things are so familiar to me, or I really like them, or I'm interested to learn more. And if you do a past life regression, who's to say that you weren't there at some point, that you didn't have
Totally.
some sort of right? And that's why you like it. Maybe there are some people who, right?
Yeah.
Some people who have a more, affinity to Norse um, mythology and just way of life and certain things, right? And that, you might find that you spent some time there or that there was some sort of indication that you were part of that or understood that a little bit differently within that past life. So it's sort of like just a deeper. dive into who you are individually. I love that. I think that it's incredible that you do that. I'm signing up.
Let me know when you're ready. Come on over. I have a couch ready for you.
I know. I know. It's not a fainting couch. Don't worry. We're not going to
And
faint.
you don't actually have to lay down for that, by the way. You get comfortable however you want to get comfortable, not in a rolling chair, because if you do happen to fall off, that is uncomfortable. So that is my FYI for you. Little tidbit into my world. Don't try to
Do
go under
it.
the rolling chair. It's not good.
And then not only that, I just had a visual of you trying to pick up a client off of the floor based on the fact that they fell on
Me,
the rolling chair.
me,
Get out. Get out.
no, no joke.
Oh,
No
yeah.
joke.
And that I can
When
picture
you're,
as well.
yeah. Well, when you're learning hypnosis, you do it on yourself.
Yeah.
So you got to know what it all feels like. You got to know like what it all is, and so
Don't.
yep. Hi.
Point
It was
taken.
me.
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Don't do it in a rolling chair. Um,
Yep.
Mush, you're the best. This has been
So are you.
incredible. I so appreciate, and this is the first of many. I feel like with the rest of the group that we used to do podcast or live. I mean, they were lives really at that point. I think we did
They
one
were, but it was
podcast.
fun.
It was fun. We had a great time. But this is the first of many episodes that I feel like we will be on together. So
Oh,
is there anything going on that you want to promote? Anything that you have looking out into the future? Any classes? Any stuff going on? On the
as of
spot?
right now, I think I think so. I do currently the only readings that I'm doing out are at the um Vanderbilt at Newport.
Which is also incredible. That energy must be
It's
absolutely
crazy.
intense. I believe it.
It's crazy. It's very high energy there. Like everything is just like touch me. The walls, the furniture,
You're like,
the
I
light,
will, but uh,
everything is like touch, 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 touch. Like the people are they will look at you funny, but they get it because they're all doing it too. Like everybody's like, oh, that looks so nice. Let me touch. Um, anyway, so I'm there, and I do tea leaf readings and tarot. And I will be there on New Year's Eve. Ouch. I will be there on New Year's Eve.
don't hurt yourself.
Um, and
What a way to start the
honestly,
year, huh? So you must
yeah,
be, it's like giving people a little bit of a synopsis of what's to look forward in the future,
yes. Well,
right?
I do one of those readings here. I do a year ahead
Yeah,
reading.
I do the same.
Um, so I've just kind of take it over there and doing the same thing.
Right.
Um, just the other part of the state. I think that's really all I have going on right now. I'm in the process of trying to get something set up for um, a spooky October outing. I'm going
Ooh.
through, um, the ones that are all in charge in order to get everything, above board and by the books. So it's not set yet. It's kind of a last minute thing. So I'm waiting to get approval. But once that goes through, then I will have something new. But it's kind of, I don't know
It's
what's
on the,
going on with it. It's in limbo.
yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, you do have a lot of hands in different things anyway, of
Yeah.
all the things that you do. I mean, there's so much to learn from. And from what I can say to the people watching and listening is that because I've known you for such a long time in this practice or in this
Yes.
kind of, realm that we're in and the whole idea is that you've evolved and developed yourself so incredibly vastly in great things. And I feel like it's a representation of you entirely because you're not happy with just one thing. You're not a one trick pony. I tell people all the
Oh,
time, I'm a one
no.
trick pony, even though I'm not. But like
No,
you
you're
want to
not.
learn and you want to go in and this is honestly for those of you watching, this is like literally tip of the iceberg for Marsha. She does way more even on the Muggle side of the world, you know, that you would be like, you do that too. She does, you name it, she
I
does it.
do.
Yeah,
I do.
and this is
I
part of
do.
your, this is part of your vernacular in general, just learning more,
I have
immersing yourself in more.
I'm very eclectic.
Yes, yes,
That's
yep, very
I'm
eclectic.
weird, quirky.
No, it's not, to me, it's absolutely fascinating and it's not weird at all. I love that
I
about
love you.
you. I love you too. Thank you so much for being on with me. I so appreciate everything. For those
Thank
of you
you.
who are watching, please follow. Not only is she have her, you know, she's on the socials. So, but also has, and she posts stuff daily. There are blogs, there are videos, there are little
There's
tidbits here
stuff.
and there. There's stuff, there's content. If you wonder about content, I am scratched below the surface. She is up high. Content all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, I steal a lot of content from you. Lots of memes. I'm a meme stealer. But let me tell you, Marsha is the real deal. Book something with her. You will not be disappointed.
Thank you.
Follow her if you can't book something today. I'm sure that there will be something down the road that she'll be at, and you will bump into her smiling face because she is very present in our community and very well loved. So,
Thank you.
that being said,
Thank you.
oh, let this love fest. Um,
I know.
but for those of you watching, I appreciate and thank you so much for being here tonight with me, Sarah G, the Witch MD, that is Master of Divination. And I look forward to next Tuesday. Don't forget the card of the day is that Eight of Wands. Think about that energy. And oh, also, I forgot Supermoon
But
tomorrow.
supermoon.
Supermoon. So tomorrow is the second full moon in 1 month, which is what we would call the supermoon. Probably all these intense emotions that we've been talking about and feeling, and this drive in a certain way, like
Yeah.
that Eight of Wands is telling us too, is based on that supermoon, which is in Pisces, I think, which is a lot of that intuitive energy, nonetheless. So supermoon, like I
Emotional
said,
too.
yep. And blue moon. Blue moon is the second moon, full moon in 1 month. So we did have one at the beginning of the month, and now we have one tomorrow, which is still considered August. But that's all this crazy energy. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you next week. Have a wonderful week. Happy Tarot Tuesday, and tune into